All right. So this is a impromptu live stream here. I was just going to sharpen this M4 and make a video whilst I do it, but I figured I might as well make it into a live stream, so we'll see if anybody hops on here. But lately, this M4 PM2, my Maximate Manix 2, and my 10V PM2, which I don't have on me presently, I've really been hitting it for me. I've really been digging the PM2s, really been digging the higher end steels lately. That 10V PM2, it just keeps on stropping back. Hi one person. And God, I just love that 10V on that PM2. It's not the K390 from Seki, but geez, it's great. This M4 PM2 here, the edge was like dead as a doornail. Age remain. And it won't strop back, so it's time for a sharpening. So I've got the Veneves here, as well as the number 400 grit super vitrified diamond waterstone. Just gonna de-stress that edge so it's totally dull. Try not to make too much of a mess down here in a new house, so I'm still figuring out the areas with which I like to work in here, so we'll just see how this goes. That's the whole edge there. Oh yeah, you got Rex 45 rocking in there? Solid, dude. Rex 45 is just the frickin' stuff, man. I love Rex. It doesn't take a whole lot of a working edge, which is an advantage that M4 has, but it doesn't matter, man. It holds that front end sharpness so long, and it's so frickin' stable. Has such a stable edge that I just like don't even care. It's just amazing stuff. But yeah, I passed up the Rex 45 PM2, even though, like I said, I've really been feeling the PM2s lately. Just because I've got 3 of them, and I'm just asking myself, like, how many PM2s does one guy need? The answer is all of the PM2s, probably, but you gotta limit yourself somewhere. So I'm limiting myself at 3 for now. Probably didn't need to do this second set of passes here, but we're doing it, so here we are. Gonna be really well apexed. M4 doesn't usually require this. I could have started at the 400, or sorry, 400F, which is more of like a medium grit stone, but I just didn't really want to. Just gonna pat that dry fuzz. I wanted to go back down to the 400 grit Veneve, or Jesus Christ, super vitrified. All right. Wrong side. We're going to the 400F. So we just went from 400 GIS up to 400 FEPA. So this is a kind of like from coarse to medium grit. This is a 100% concentration Veneve diamond waterstone. M4 is kind of a transitionary steel, and you know, is it high vanadium or is it you know, low enough vanadium carbide where you can get away with sharpening it with subpar, or not subpar, but alumina-based abrasives. But for myself personally, I really find that M4 is a diamond preferring steel. It's got like 6% vanadium carbide in it, thereabouts. The rest is moly tungsten carbide in there. So it's got about as much carbide volume as S30V. So it's a decent amount. Live chat. Hey, Prentice. Nice. That 400 grit Naniwa will be a sweet stone. I personally love setting bevels on the high grit stones. That's why I started on the super vitrified tonight. Because I just love setting my bevel like that. Yeah, to hit that S110V, that'll be perfect. Perfect for that thing. 400 diamond and then hit it on a strop a couple times. S110V would love that thing. And the 800F. M4 for me is a steel that you can really go either way with it. You can go polished, you can go coarse. It's forgiving. It's, you know, kind of Michael Christie is known for saying it's kind of a sharpener's steel, and it is. Very small burr. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I've done with it. Yeah, I'm going to keep working it. Yeah. No, actually on this Maximate here, I don't know if anybody's sees my Instagram, but somebody had hit the tip into concrete and just very lightly chipped it. So actually this is wearing a 400 grit super vitrified edge, and it is sweet. It is very sweet. So if you can get that 400 grit edge clean and then strop on it, especially those high vanadium steels, you can really make something magical happen. I think I'm getting it. Just back at the heel there. It's really easy to lose track of what's going on with these Veneve stones, at least for me. And this in-hand sharpening has its own challenges. But I felt like doing it, so here we are. Getting a 1,000 to go with it. No, that's not too big of a jump. No way. That's 400 to 1K. That's a great jump. Like if it was me personally, I would even be tempted to go 400 to 3K. But I like those really big jumps. But that would be the max, 400 to 3K. But no, I think, yeah, if you want to, whatever grit edge you want to end on, is just buy that one. I wouldn't, to start, I wouldn't try to put a progression together. I mean, it'll depend on steels and everything, but I think that should be good. Hey man, how you doing? I am doing well. Hope you're doing well as well, Dan. Yeah, it's a combination. The jumps that you can get away with is, you know, what kind of results do you want as a sharpener? And that what you're just looking for, good or bad. just what you want. And then the steel with that particular heat treat and those particular stones, something like S110V just seems to be really unforgiving of big grit jumps. Yeah, a 1K super vitrified would be amazing. But yeah, like S110V is pretty unforgiving for big grit jumps. But generally, the rule of thumb is the higher quality your stones are, the bigger jumps you can make. Just because the low quality, high grit stones don't have very much cutting power. And so you end up just spending so long not doing a whole heck of a lot on those high grit stones. But like a bunch of my kitchen knives, I've been doing a 400 grit super vitrified. Yeah, I mean, the S110V, I think it has things that are nice, but do I really care for it? Yeah, not really. Gotta know what you're doing with Maximate, but if you got the right stuff, it's no big deal. But yeah, so yeah, if you've got a lot of my kitchen knives have a 400 grit up to 3K Chaucera edge on them, because the most hardcore kitchen knife steel I have is SG2 at 63 Rockwell, and it comes out perfect that way. Minimal effort. Even on some German steel, I've done a 400 grit to 8K Shapton glass just to do it, just to see what would happen. And on one of them, it's actually not German steel, it's 1K6. It's a Kai Wasabi, but I got a sub 100 best score going from a 400 grit super vitrified to a 8K Shapton glass, no strop. So, and that's because that steel is softer, and the stones were both very high quality, and I did the correct amount of work on the super vitrified, but not that much. I was trying to be lazy. Yeah, it is a huge jump. No, no, you didn't have to spend that much time on the 8K, but I mean, it wasn't a mere finish, you know? It depends on what you're looking for. Like if I go 800, 3K, 8K, mirror polish on just about anything with minimal effort. But what I did there, I didn't have a mirror polish by any stretch of the imagination, but it was decent looking and it performed like an 8K edge. And that's what mattered. Nope, not a micro bevel, full bevel. No, actually, in that particular sharpening, because I was trying to see how lazy I could be, but I set the bevel nicely with the 400 grit, but I didn't deburr very much, and I let the 8K, just to see what it could do the deburring. And dude, that 8K Shapton glass is just no freaking joke. It is a beast for an 8K. It's just bananas. Like it was just that burr was coming off in just chunks. It was something to behold. It was pretty fun. So no, yeah, I like that. I mean, I don't do that. That's not my sharpening. Most of my kitchen knives, I'll do a King Neo 3K and just stop. Sometimes I'll do the 800 3K 8K, and sometimes I'll just do probably the most common edge in my kitchen right now is the 400 3K edge. And if I really want to, then I go up to the 8K. But I'm just trying to get the biggest thing I've been messing around with in the kitchen is those big grit jumps, and then what do I actually think about the 8K edge? It's not quite where I thought it was going to be. I should have been paying a bit closer attention. not nearly as nice of an edge as I was expecting it to have. So, knew that was going to be the case. I actually started sharpening this one earlier today, but then my youngest didn't feel like waiting for me to finish. No, I rarely do. I'm just doing it for this video. I've been messing around with it just to see how I like it, but the general answer is I don't really like to do stone in hand. I get much more. Are you distracting me? I think I'm distracting me more than anything. You know, it's like golf. When they hold up the like please be quiet signs, and I'm like, you're a pro athlete, the best in the world, and you can't swing the club if it's not quiet. Like, how good can you be if, you know, the stars aren't aligned and the trajectory of the moon isn't just right? Like, I don't know. So, anywho, I don't think I'm being distracted. I can hear the burr a little bit. Come on, just trying to get it off on those edge leading strokes. I can still feel it. You know what it means when you get to this stage? That'll be awesome, dude. I really need to get like a real sharpening setup where I can just sit down and make a video and not have to pull all the crap out. But alas, that's not in my cards, even at this new house, I don't think. I wouldn't mind being able to try to figure out something of that nature. But I don't think I'm going to get a dedicated sharpening spot. Or video spot for that matter. This is a 4 micron CBN emulsion, Ken Schwartz on leather. Trying to maintain the angle and relatively light pressure. That did it. I don't know if I could ask you to do that, Prentice. That'd really be something. I feel I'd have to compensate you for something, so you build yours and let me know how much it runs you. And yeah, send me a picture of it when you're done. Because that might be really slick, actually, especially with how my situation is, being able to have a halfway decent kind of mobile setup like that. So let's look at the live chat here. 200. That's pretty reasonable. You'll have to show. I'll have to see what it looks like. Although if I had something like that, I'd have to let my wife know because I don't think it'll hide it. Oh, I missed that. So Sean's gonna be dropping new stones soon. Is that like a real thing? Too many lives today? Oh, I wonder who else is live right now. Is there a difference between edge leading and edge trailing for final? Well, the real question between edge leading and edge trailing is, do you have a clean edge or not? If you end with a clean apex that's burr free, then I would prefer edge trailing because you tend to have a little bit more refinement. Oh boy, I gotta have my phone ready. I'm picking up a 3K super vitrified. That's what's on my list. Ah. But the thing is I think most people will not end up with a clean apex edge trailing only. So I think, because what ends up happening is you end edge trailing and you still might even think you feel a burr, and then you go to strop and you're like, oh wow, the keenness came right up, like that's perfect. But really you've just refined and drawn out the burr into a thinner burr that feels keener, which is why it gets keener, because your apex width is decreased, but it's very weak. So it can be deceiving. So the experiment I would suggest you do is try to do edge trailing and then finishing. Try to do, yeah, the foil edge. Try to do edge trailing and then strop. Use it a little bit and see what that front end sharpness does, and see what the kind of overall life of the edge does. And then go to edge leading finishes. No stropping if you can get it clean, but minimal stropping, 2 to 3 passes per side, and then see what that front end sharpness does, and then the total life of the edge does. Because especially on temperamental steels, personally, when I do edge leading, and if you keep going back and forth and you'll feel the edge, and all of a sudden as you're going and you check, you'll actually feel like a slight drop in aggression as that foil burr or that foil edge take comes off. Which is kind of weird to think that you are looking for a drop in aggression, but that's what ends up happening. And when you're working with that edge, you'd be amazed at how much longevity it has. And if you follow it up with just minimal stropping, because stropping can produce a new burr. And my current relationship with stropping is pretty weak. You know, I'm definitely preferring the stones now more than anything ever than I ever have for my sharpening and burr removal and finishing. So they both can accomplish the same thing, finishing edge leading versus edge trailing, and it depends on what you do afterwards with that. But you'd probably have a safer bet to do edge leading. Does edge trailing build the burr faster in freehand? No. It depends on the stone, because when you're doing edged leading, the fact that the abrasives are running into the apex can kind of break up the burr and rip it apart. But on an aggressive stone, like say the 400 grit super vitrified, it's producing new burr faster than it's getting rid of old burr. So it burrs up edge leading, edge trailing. You know, like me, like I'm going to do both. I'm not gonna just sit and do edge trailing to form an apex. That would be just bananas to me. So no, it really depends on the abrasive. Once you get up into the slightly higher grit stones where they're not as prone to forming a burr, then that's where you can decide what you want to do between edge trailing and edge leading. But even with the right combination of skill and pressure, you can, you know, hit the apex without forming more burr on a 400 grit stone, which is what I did on this Maximate knife here. I've been carrying a lot since both my PM2s started to get dull, and my 10V is just getting to the point where it won't strop back now that I've stropped it back a couple of times. But yeah, Maximate's really easy to find that balance point with pretty much any stone. But yeah, it depends on the stone, it depends on the steel, how much they like to take burrs, how the heat treat is with the hardness. But generally, the lower grit stones will form a burr edge trailing or edge leading a lot easier. Whereas a higher grit stone, edge leading is a lot easier to not form new burr, versus edge trailing almost always will. So yeah, I'm gonna flip through these comments really quick, and after that I think I'm gonna hop off. So I think that pretty much takes care of it. I swear I get like a spidey sense when Triple B is gonna drop his stones, because I was checking out quite a few things, and I had a feeling of like, nah, like I just shouldn't, and I feel like that's why I didn't drop the cheddar, because Sean's gonna drop the stones. So yeah, that's all the sharpening I've got for you. So I'm gonna put this M4 back in my pocket, and it's gonna be the next up in the rotation, because I'm really digging the PM2s right now. So I'm gonna keep that going. That's all I've got for you guys. Have a very good night. See ya.